Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of Jesus' resurrection, and we're going to enter the text of Matthew today. If you would, we're going to open our Bibles to Matthew chapter 27. I'm going to begin reading with verse 62, and then I'm going to read through chapter 28, verse 10. So, Jesus has been crucified. He's been laid in the garden tomb, and um, Joseph has gone away, Joseph of Arimathea, and Mary Magdalene and the other Mary are sitting there when we leave them at the grave, opposite the grave. And it says, on the next day, which is the one after the preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees gathered together with Pilate and said, Sir, we remember that when he was still alive, the deceiver said, After 3 days I am to rise again. Therefore give orders for the grave to be made secure until the third day, lest the disciples come and steal him away, and say to the people, He has risen from the dead, and the last deception will be worse than the first. So Pilate said to them, You have a guard, go make it as secure as you know how. And they went and made the grave secure. Along with the guard, they set a seal on the stone. Now, late on the Sabbath, as it began to dawn, toward the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to look at the grave. And behold, a severe earthquake had occurred, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled the stone away. And his appearance was like lightning, and his garment white as snow. And the guards shook for fear of him and became like dead men. And the angel answered and said to the women, Do not be afraid, for I know that you're looking for Jesus who has been crucified. He is not here. He is risen, just as he said. Come, see the place where he was laying. And go quickly and tell the disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he is going before you into Galilee, and you will see him. Behold, I've told you. And they departed quickly from the tomb with fear and great joy, and ran to report this to his disciples. And behold, Jesus met them and greeted them. And they came up and took hold of his feet and worshipped him. Jesus said to them, Do not be afraid. Go and take word to my brethren to leave for Galilee, and there they shall see me. Okay, so I wanted to begin with the preparation of guarding the tomb by the chief priests and Pharisees. They go to Pilate and they said, Hey, this guy was preaching he was going to rise again on the third day. They understand what Jesus was saying, they just have rejected it. The apostles evidently didn't understand what Jesus was saying. In fact, the disciples did not. The men on the road to Emmaus did not. The women themselves at the tomb did not, because they are all taken by surprise that it happened. So Matthew's gospel begins with the scholars knowing exactly where Jesus is going to be born, and ends with the scholars who rejected Jesus knowing exactly what he said he was going to do, which is a great indictment of them, isn't it? Anyway, let's make clear that the guard at the tomb are not Romans, they're the temple guard. The temple itself had a security force, a trained, armed, uniformed security force. And they're the ones guarding the tomb. That's what Pilate said to them. You've got your own people. Go guard it as well as you want to. Which is what happened. So as the Sabbath was ending and as day is dawning on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, um, well, I'm not going to try to sort out the Marys, but my best guess is that this is Mary, who is the mother of James the Less, because she's mentioned in other accounts. Mary, the mother of James and Joseph. Mary is a very popular name in the first century among Jews. And so we should not be surprised to see so many Marys. Anyway, an earthquake had occurred. An angel had descended and rolled the stone away. Did the angel push it with his muscles, or did he cause it to move because of the earthquake? We're not told. But the guards shuddered and froze. And the angel speaks to the women and says he's not there. Look, did they look in the tomb? We're not told, but they go away in fear and joy. Mark says when they first leave, their primary emotion is fear and confusion. But Matthew says fear and joy. It's not long before Jesus appears to them being the two Marys, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary. Jesus himself appears to them and they cling to his feet. We're told in John's gospel that it was Mary particularly that clung to Jesus' feet, but that doesn't mean the other Mary wasn't there and that she didn't do it too. It's just he's focusing on Mary Magdalene. All four gospel writers agree the first person to see Jesus raised from the dead was Mary Magdalene. And then he tells his disciples to go ahead into Galilee where he will meet them. Okay, we're going to pick up with verse 11 next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.